You know me and test. Before we even start, is there anybody here who knows or who has heard of trafficking before? Any student? Anybody? You have heard of the word trafficking or human trafficking? Do you have anybody here? Any student? Yes. Who can make us proud? Anybody? Anybody who wants to try? Put your hands together. Somebody is coming. Put your hands together. Don't look back. Somebody is coming. Somebody is coming. Yes. Who wants to try? Who wants to try? Protocol, come. Protocol, come. Very soon, the minister in charge of Inner City and Zongo Development, Honorable Sadiq Abubakar Boniface, is in the house. Put your hands together for this humble man and humble servant. Very humble. Wow. 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 Thank you, Honorable. You are welcome. You are welcome. Protocol, you were coming. Come. Honorable is here. Come. Protocol, come. Yeah, come. Come. Don't look back. Come. Office. Yeah, office, come. Office, come. Put your hands together for her. There are some of you, today is the first time you are hearing the word trafficking. It is not a police officer stopping you and checking your license. Have you heard of the word trafficking before? What do you know about it?
It's like you camping people and telling them different things. Let's assume you gather some people and tell them that, okay, let's go to this place. We are going for a particular job. All this while the motive behind you camping them is for a different or an illegal motive.
Put your hands together for her. She's the office prefect for Ideal College. We have a lot of activities to look at today. And when we start, some of you cannot stand. Some of you end up weeping. I have wept before. And I'll not be surprised if I still see this documentary and hear from those speakers and I still weep. This is because people have decided to respect humanity. Gone were the days we felt there were some things that are barbaric and we should not entertain it. But here, before our first speaker comes, we are going to pay attention and see this documentary. My advice to you is that don't cry. This is the house of God. It means there is hope for all of us. You are here, I am here, and we are going to fight this canker together. So no need to cry. Media, are we set for our documentary? This is what is happening in other parts of the country. People are aware. Others are just not aware. See it yourself.
There is power in the name.
I went to the house. I was very sad.
Because we have been sold to them.
Go to prison 1 year. And I said, prison? He said, yes. For what? And he said, for owing me 600 KD.
So I have to work for the money they have sent paying my plane ticket before returning back home.
The hardship that they are going through is very serious.
For an amount of $3,600 US, 23-year-old Lydia Mensah has been rescued from the hands of a recruitment agency who brought her into a life of domestic servitude in Kuwait.
This dream can never become a reality in a country like Kuwait, where she worked like a slave for 4 months. Jones also works with Sewa Foundation in Ghana, the agency that rescued Lydia.
We spent about $3,600 before she came back to Ghana here.
There are other 2 Ghanaians living in the same house where she lived, but are not able to get in touch with their families, making it difficult for them to return home.
I'm Howard Ghana. We're here on the ground because we're mad. We're making a difference. Partnered with Sawa Foundation on the rescue of a few of the victims. We realize that there needs to be more support, because there are thousands and thousands and thousands of young women out there looking for opportunities in the Gulf states.
Of people that they called us, that they are in the hardship, so we should come for their rescue.
So I followed him and put him into a certain room. He said he's going to call the person that I'm going to work with him again. So I was there and he came with 3 men, including me. And he said I should prove my crew. And I said, no, why? Why should I prove? But he said you are going to call someone that I'm going to work with. So I said I should prove myself. So no, I should prove. So they remove a knife from them. If I don't remove my clothes, they will kill me. So I was there. I said no. So one of them forced me to remove all my clothes, and all the 4 men slept with me.
Once they're back, once they've been rescued, we realize that there's so many challenges. Giving them the counseling services that they need, training skills that they need, so that they can be really well equipped to go back into their communities and be given the tools that they need to empower themselves and then change their own lives. Is what we're here to do. The chains are broken. The chains are broken.
People are dying, especially some of them are mad, and people are dying, and all this God has saved me. Okay, at this point I thank God.
After Sewa Foundation brought me back to Ghana, he offered me a job by working with someone. I really thank God of my life.
Brad Jones is the main person behind Sewa Banka. They are doing amazing work, helping to create the awareness and saving girls, not only those who go to Kuwait and Saudi Arabia, but even those here in Ghana who are being taken to fishing communities and being made to serve as, I don't know whether they are divers or they are baits or whatever. They go under the water, some of them serving as house helps, being abused and all that. So Banka, led by Brad Jones, are doing that. So he deserves a very huge round of applause for what he's doing.
We need to make a huge call for the world to see what we're doing, and to more partnerships are needed so that we continue to build this thing and fight human trafficking.
Put your hands together. I know most of you probably did not follow the concept, but in due course, I'll give you the story. You understand. You saw a lady speaking in the documentary by name Amina. You saw other victims. In due time, you know the story. The Honorable Minister to speak to us tonight is a proud man from the Gonja land. Once upon a time, the people of Bego used to trade with the people of Mande, Asian Mali. The people of Mande were taking gold from the people of Bego. Bego is present-day Brong Ahafo. At a point in time, these people of Bego refused to supply the people of Mande with the gold. Of course, it's business. We may decide to change our mind. But the Mande people refused to understand why they should no longer supply them with the gold. So the Mande Kaba decided to send a punitive expedition. They are go to Bego and find out from them why they are no longer supplying us the gold. The delegation is sent. There was a man by name Wad Naba or Nabaga. He was part of these people. In fact, the leader. Unfortunately, Wad Naba and Nabaga and his men did not go and execute whatever information or task they were given. But when he got to a place by name Yabon, he stayed there and decided to use the men available to capture the villages around, defeating a lot of villages. And he had the support of people we call the Deula people. They were traders and other Islamic traders who assisted him to capture several villages. And he started laying the foundation for a kingdom known as Gonja. After successive kings, a man by name Sumaila in Deura Japa, who was one of the most powerful leaders the Gonjas can ever boast of, because he was a warrior and he was nicknamed the spear holder. He can single-handedly defeat a lot of soldiers. He is the one history accredits the foundation and establishment of Gonja to. He was at a point in time addressed as the Opokuwari of Gonja. And today, every king of Gonja carries the title in Deura. One of the most outstanding states, profound today, the East District part of Gonja is Salaga. It will interest you to know that Salaga had accredited itself by history and by every information available as a center for slave trade. Long before they were into positive or legal trade. But as people demanded for human resource, because there was a need for manpower business, Salaga was booming as a center for slave trade. No wonder we chose no other speaker than the man who understands coming from a place where slave trade has its root as far as the history of Ghana is concerned. He knows what it is, not just by evidence, not just by pictures, not just by video, but because he's coming from there. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Ghana's most humble minister I have ever seen, Honorable Sadiq Abubakar Boniface, Member of Parliament for Medina and Minister of Inner City and Zongo Development. You are welcome, Honorable.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The man has humbled me. He has even told you half of what I'm going to tell you. I am honored and privileged to be with you this evening to talk about the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. This World Day, trafficking in persons is nothing but slavery. It is an epitome, a new name to tell you that, oh, slavery is out of the way. But in fact, it is a form of slavery. I am a product of Salaga. Salaga used to be the largest slave market in the whole of West Africa. What happened was that in the 14th, 15th centuries, Salaga today is as tiny, in fact I can say a tenth of what used to be before. Salaga by conflict, because wherever you have slaves, you should be prepared for war. And so all the time you have warriors. Likely my brother has mentioned Indaure Jakwa. Indaure Jakwa is the warrior who led the team into Ghana from Songhai, Mali, and he conquered all the way from the west to the east of the northern parts of Ghana, and even into Bro and Hafo and into parts of Ashanti. From Tuna or Pung, that is somewhere in Upper West, all the way to Bole, Bamboi, into Wenchi, all up to Techima, Kintampo, were all parts of the Gunja land. When you pass towards the east, from Salaga you cross the Volta Lake. It used to be called Kulubu. It's that river, Volta Lake, between Yeji and Makango used to be called Kulubu. And so we had a chief called Kulubura. I'm just giving you the genesis. And then you have Yeji. Yeji is a Gunja word, which means Yeji. Atebubu is a Gunja word. It's Atebibu. That the twins' hearts. All the way to Ejra. Now, one may ask, how come this time round, this part of the country is in Brong-Ahafo? When we gained independence and Kwame Nkrumah, for administrative reasons, to ease administration, he used the Volta Lake, that divides between Yeji and Makango, as the border, and then created parts to go into Brong-Ahafo. Yet, people in Atebubu, Prime, Yeji were all taking their salaries from the north. At Prime is Kpalang. Atebubu is Atebubu, all the way to Ijura. But coming to the substantive matter before I come to this, and you really understand that for every generation, there's a new name for the word slavery. In the past, all slaves that were captured somewhere, you will see that most of the Gonjas and most of the people in Upper East are friends. They are playmates. Like from the Bulsa area, or we call them Grushis, from Paga, all that way. Because Salaga used to be the slave market, in those days they used to go and capture people there and bring them to the market. And these were sold out as economic assets. People travel all the way, explore by exploration, come to this part of the country, and I'll give you the root of the slavery and how they are exported. They were economic goods. Human beings were turned into economic goods. Now, what happened was that whenever the slaves were brought from the Upper East, Upper West, they come through Navrongo, through Tamale, some hit through Yendi, come to Salaga. And that is the market center. And so if you come to Salaga, we have a place called Grisizongo, which tells you that these were people captured from the Grushi side, Upper East. Up to date, the village is there. We have all the shackles. My great-grandmother is still alive. She has the history. So these things, apart from reading from the books, orally is transmitted to us. And she's still alive. She's over 120 years as I speak, if no more. And what happened was that all the slaves that were brought in, check the way they were being exported. From Salaga market, they take them through a village called Kafaba. Then Kafaba, now the lake, Volta Lake, has created a demarcation or a barrier between Kafaba. But they cross Kafaba to Akamade. Akamade is the point where you have the black and white Volta confluence. That is where the two lakes converge or meet. But water here, if you fetch the water from this side and put it here, it will go back. Because one is dark and one is light. You see, so from Kafaba through to Akamade, Akamade then to Kintampo. You see how Gonjas captured that side. They take the slaves through that point. Those to be taken to Europe. You see, get me right. We have those who go to Europe, they export to Europe, and those they export to the Americas, and those they export to the Arab world. Now, those going to Europe, they pass through Kintampo, then through Kumasi, then to Accra. Some of you who are conversant with some of the names in central Accra, we have a place called Salaga Market. The name Salaga Market originated from the real meaning of Salaga. And the real meaning of Salaga means Kasalaga, that the town has expanded. Because whenever Indore Japwa conquered a town, you only place one person. He was at the same time spreading Islam. So if you submit, he was not interested in anything. He only put a chief there and then pass a malam. And then moved all the way to Panda area, all those places. Karachi, down to Kwame Danso, all were under Gunja territory. But with time, people start talking that this is my home, this is my land. With development and civilization, you see it off, just like Africans will always be calling for emancipation and other things. So this was what happened. And so what happens was that those to be taken to Europe through Kintampo, then through Kumasi to Accra. Those were from Salaga Market. From Salaga Market, then they take them through Asha Fort. Asha Fort, then they are exported through to Europe. Now, those to be taken to America from Kintampo, then they take part of Ashanti region, past the northern part of it, appear through a town called Asim Mansu. I don't know whether you've ever heard this name. Now, the Asim Mansu, there's a stream. That stream is called the Point of No Return. That is the name of the stream. Why is it Point of No Return? Because that stream, you know why it's moving the bush and other things, they get dirty, the scent and the stench on the body. But the stream, they'll pass you through that place and wash you. Once they wash you through the stream, then you gain some strength and you become healthy. From there, straight into Cape Coast Castle. Now, the stubborn ones, we have a dungeon, even up to date. If you are real human and they take you to the dungeon, you come out shedding tears. Because you can hear the scent of blood. And once you go into the dungeon or you go into the castle, the ship is sighted. They pack it, there's like a tunnel. So you never realize that you are moving into a ship. By the time you realize you are in the ship. And you are in shackles. So you can't fend for yourself. Straight. Then they line them up, they put them down. One's head is facing that way, and your leg there, and another man's leg is facing that way, and the head is this way. And the stubborn ones, they come to pour water on you just to get you a bit strong. Because you are traveling on the sea, the cold on the high seas, if you don't, most of them die. Because they are not well versed with that kind of weather. Now, that is for America and Europe. Some are taken from Salaga through Yendi. Yendi through the desert. And desert through Sudan. Sudan, then they distribute to the Arab world. Now, the name Sudan is like the lucky ones, 1857, when slavery was abolished in 1857. All the blacks there remained in Sudan. That is how Sudan has become Arab Sudan. But in actual fact, they are all from this part of the world. This is how it is. So you can see that whenever you have Panafest and you have the blacks come, it is like the blacks who come from the Americas and other parts of the world, and when they come to Ghana or some parts of Africa, it's like two rivers meet. These are people, the affinity is there, but they find it difficult to identify where are they coming from. Some are coming from Nigeria. Nigeria will trace their roots to Spain and Brazil. But most from Salaga will trace their roots to Europe and America. In actual fact, Cape Coast is not where they need to trace their roots from. Where they need to trace their roots from is Salaga and the other parts of the northern Ghana. If you go to Salaga up to date, we have things that you can easily find, very easy. Baths. We have what we call the slave baths. We have small baths. We have the master bath, where the master feels that this lady is very good for me. This is the taste of the day. They move her into the master bath. That is where the lady and the master will bath together. And small baths are meant for other people to bath in. Salaga has the largest number of wells in this country. And the wells that we're talking about today, if I take you to Salaga and I show you one well, and the well was not drilled by machine, it was drilled by manpower. And that well has never dried up. That well has never dried up. The whole wells in Salaga will dry up, but not that at the slave territory. And when you go there, we call that area in Hausa Wankambai. Wankambai means Wankambai, but the short form of plural is Wankambai. In Hausa means the bath of the slaves. It's a bridge and it's a stream. And so all the slaves were camped all over the place. In fact, when I went to school, RC, that was around the 60s, around 66, when I was in P2 or P1. When you walk off the campus, of the school, you find shackles, locked up with bones lying there. Which means the people were hooked up, they were shackled, locked, handcuffed. And when slavery was abolished, the masters left them there to find their own selves, how they will free themselves, they don't mind, and they left. And so some starved to death. Most of these shackles are in custody today with our grandmothers and other people. The spears he's talking about, you still have some. And to date, they can tell you the houses of people who originated from slavery. In Salaga, if you tell me your house, I can tell you your history. So in Salaga, we don't insult each other. And the problem is that the chicken or the fowl that is often inquisitive or curious in digging the ground will end up digging the bones of the grandmother. So if you are fond of attacking somebody's personality or attacking the family, they will tell you your actual root, where you're coming from. Well, every house has its history. In Salaga, we don't insult each other carelessly. Because if you tell me, I'll go to my grandmother and tell my grandmother that this man has insulted me. Say, whose son? You tell him, go and tell his grandfather is so and so. His great-grandfather was freed under a tree by this grandfather of yours. So in Salaga, don't attempt attacking some family. So you see, gradually, as we gain independence came not 1957, but 1857. When slavery was abolished, where at that time, it was by force. And like my friend said, my junior brother said, you could find a family, when they come to attack you, there are two things. You either look for one of your daughters to pacify them and leave the young men to fend for the family. Or the strongest man is taken away, and who never will come back. So that structure is there. Even when within the country itself, like he was talking about, there was a kind of a truce that was reached between the Gunjes and the Ashantis. The Gunjes and the Bunus, where exchanges were going along either for salt or for cola. They had stopped the exchange of human beings. So gradually, this slavery, sometimes we don't want to talk about it. Because the memory of the past creates a lot of emotions. It provokes emotions within the people. And two, in Ghana, sometimes I feel so bad when I find a tribe undermining another tribe. We have all come together from different locations, different areas, and have come to find ourselves converged in one particular area and identify ourselves as coming from one nation, because when we came together, we decided to fight the white man and to struggle for our liberation. And so ended up in gaining what? Our independence. So once we have gained the independence, what does it mean? We are coming from one nation as one people with what? A common destiny. So the idea of saying that, oh, we must be left to the past. Because somebody, if he hears this, he will never forgive you. He will find a way of creating another problem. Gone are the days. Now we are no longer in revolutions. People take advantage of revolutions and destroy you. Today, we are in a very organized civil society. Now, the people, I won't say white, I won't say black. As we advance, there are many forms of enslaving you and I. A lot of our people have gone for greener pastures. That is another form of what? Slavery. In those days, when they needed our people most, there was no visa between Ghana and countries like Britain and America. You get to the airport and you are gone. Straight. But at that time too, they wanted the skilled labor, doctors, engineers, to go and work in the railways, help them establish their railways, doctors to work in the hospitals. Meanwhile, doctors have left home. They've been trained here. Your scarce resources that has been used to train our doctors to take good care of us are going there. When they go to, immediately they are not doctors. They are seen as second class. You are nurses below. And just because you see the differences in your economic currencies, because once you get $1, it's 4.5 cedis in Ghana. So you take the hard there, and then when you come to melt it, you have plenty money. They have moved from that level. Now, the human trafficking in Ghana, I'll tell you more of it. I grew up in Salaga. I can tell you that I grew up in many places. Because if I tell you my history, some of you will be shocked. As I stand here, I'm an embodiment of many bloods. Not one blood or two bloods. No. My grandfather is a Scottish. He was the first engineer to build the bridges from Asante Mampong through Ejura, Amantin, Atebubu, all the way to Tamale. Now, you see, he is a white blood. My great-grandmother comes from Volta region, Nkunya. My great-grandfather comes from Kou, Obu. That's 3. When my grandfather died, my grandmother married a Fanti from the Fanti land. If you hear the Keto or the Newman and Coleman family, that is our family. So my grandmother married from that place too. And then my father too was lucky to find a beautiful woman from the north. That is my mother, Gunja. And then they gave birth to me. But I'm lucky, I didn't marry from any other place. I married my uncle's daughter, who is a Gunja. So I've stopped there. But you see, the girl, somebody is opening their mouth to ask. Go to the Bible. Don't be surprised if I tell you that I can marry my uncle's daughter. We haven't sucked the same breasts. The Bible will tell you. Se unima utimi ware wo swaba, utimi ware wo wofaba. You know that? Go check. Even in some places these days, you hear somebody's, is it the paternal uncle's daughter is married to the paternal uncle's son. It's happening because they don't want the wealth to go off the family. You see how it is. But coming to the substantive matter, I grew up in Salaga, Yeji. And what happens is that most of the people, the young, small children who are brought to Yeji to fish, they are slaves. They are brought all the way from Volta region. And then they are brought as helping hands, and they tell them that they are going to send them to school by their lies. Those small boys become the divers, if you care to know. When they go fishing and the net is stuck below the river, under the water, they will ask the small boy to dive and go and relieve what has held the net beneath the water. If you are lucky, you come up. If you are not lucky, you stay there. And that is the end of the child. Don't forget, this child could have grown up to become the president of this country if given the opportunity. Most of the children have died innocently because they've been used as economic assets for greedy people. Now, gradually, when these things were being identified, they have shifted away from that level. And even sometimes, when these boys die beneath the water, they are used as baits. They don't report to people that the child is drowned. They use them as baits for fishes to come around to fish so that they catch them. So you can see how sometimes, that is why sometimes the white man believes in the dog or the pet than his neighbor human being. Because the pet will not kill him, but the human being will kill him because of the assets he has acquired. This is the problem. 2, when you come gradually now, they come to lure our young girls to tell you that, oh, they need housemaids. Or how do you call them? Domestic workers or care. When you go to London, they call them the caretakers. Come and take care of my old man or my old woman. You see, the nannies or babysitters. The worst is those who are being taken to the Arab world. 1, you become a substitute. In economics, we have substitutes. If you don't get Bonvita, you get Milo. You see how it is? So when they take you there, first of all, they will use you as a caretaker. By the time you realize, you become a sex machine. In fact, I remember 2 years ago, they reported a case to me, a young lady who had been taken more or less like a captive. And our soldiers who went on peacekeeping saw her. They sympathized with her when she narrated her story, but they couldn't do anything to bring her back to Ghana. So as soon as they came down to Ghana, one moved, even there, we were then in opposition, came to me to the house and told me that this is something, I need to save them. But they've identified a Ghanaian girl. They were able to mobilize money for her, but it wasn't enough to bring her to Ghana. So what can I do? So I said, no problem. All I did was to move to their army commander, General Abu, and informed him, I have never known the girl. But once they said a Ghanaian girl, they got her particulars. I led them, went to the general, and told him that this is the situation, and I want him to rescue the girl. Fortunately, they sent a signal. They were able to locate the girl because the girl had been able to escape from that house to another place. So they got wind and went there and got her. And when they got her, the next available military flight, they brought her back to Ghana. Now, you have seen only one. What is the fate of the others? So we need to be careful. The slavery now is metamorphosing in different ways. Every generation will have a different name. In the past, it was might, it was strength, it was war, conflict, attack a village and take the whole village as your assets. Once you've conquered them, they submit to you, now they are slaves. You sell them to the slave masters. 1857, this thing has come to an end. After that, tribes wanted to overpower other tribes. Countries that had gained independence will want other tribes to prevail over other tribes. And gradually they've moved from that side. Now we are one. They are now using other methods to lure you that, oh, I'll get you a better job in Europe. Oh, don't worry, I'll pay for you. They take you there. In the end, they tell you it's rather unfortunate. The fellow we're bringing you to him is not there. But the only thing you can do is you must be, indirectly, this man is a pimp. He has sent you, you are now going to be a prostitute, whether you like it or not. A commercial prostitute. And so, you stand by the red light, or you stand and you have a bodyguard. Do you know that there they have bodyguards? And in places like Russia, every 6 months you go for AIDS tests. And in parts of Europe, this is what happens. You have to submit yourself by telling them that you are a sex worker. And so once you are registered and recognized, every 6 months, you have to go for tests. Once you are declared healthy, you can go on with your business. But don't forget, the body is also depreciating. Because the vehicle, when you buy it new, you have smooth roads and you have bad roads.